Has it resulted to the fact we are just beta testers now? Many of you will know that most of the electronic instruments that have been launched in the last couple of years are effectively computers with an operating system loaded onto them that make them function as the instrument that you want. This is really prevalent in the Roland Aria, Boutique and Synth X series, also in the Behringer reimagined I will say series, but a lot of the synths that Behringer have been pumping out, or drum machines, are all based on this computerized, software-driven architecture. These instruments are programmed to replicate legacy classic instruments that have long since gone out of production. The reason why these instruments are gaining in such fashion is because the original manufacturer, whoever they may be, has decided that they are not prepared to re-release the original instrument, and therefore there is an open market for a lot of this reimagination. Therefore, somebody's going to bring it back to market. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. So how do they do this? Well, in the case of Behringer, they have been quite open in stating in the public domain that they use ARM chips to simulate the source instrument that the new instrument is emulating. Roland have called their technology several different things, starting with analog circuit behaviour, get that right, or ACB, to the latest, which is analog behaviour modelling, which is ABM. But in essence, it's the same concept. But if you strip away these fancy words, what you have sitting underneath this is a computer with a processing unit, some software that replicates how the sound of the original unit should be generated using that original instrument template, and then a user interface that looks familiar to fool you into thinking that this instrument is the instrument that it emulates. But the user interface provides some more modern features. Things like MIDI that might not be available on the original, or the ability to back your patches up to SD card or something like that. There are new features that are brought to bear through this reimagination. However, there are other instruments out there that come to market that are not emulations of legacy machines. These modern instruments are there to meet the modern musician's requirements for producing music. I am thinking specifically of things like the Kronos, the Korg Nautilus, the Roland Phantom, Phantom O, the Isla 2400, Akai MPC, Akai MPC Key 61. I think I've got that the right way around. But even these modern synthesizers and electronic instruments are using the same pattern. They have a computer inside, they have memory inside, they have a processor inside, and they have some sort of storage mechanism. It's a computer at the end of the day that has a user interface that looks like a keyboard or a drum machine or whatever it's trying to emulate. But it's the last instrument in that list I read out that's caused me to do this rant. I was recently watching a video that's been produced and published by Ben Jordan, who has recently acquired the Akai MPC Key 61. but was disappointed with the instrument in two aspects. Number one, a number of features that were listed on the specification sheet were not available in the base release of the product or did not work as described. Several of the features that were delivered were he considered buggy. While working as described, they were not delivering what he expected them to deliver, or maybe they were, but his expectations were slightly beyond what the machine was currently capable of. Now, I'm not going to go into the specifics of Ben's gripes with the platform. If you want to see what Ben had to say about the platform, just go over to YouTube, search for Ben Jordan and MPC Key 61. You'll find his video. It's when I did the search this morning, I think it was the 4th video listed. So you can find it quite easily. If you want to understand what Ben's been griping about, go over there. I'm not going to cover Ben's gripes. But in the same vein, the Isla 2400, or S2400 platform, should I say, when it was released with limited functionality. However, in this case, and to be very, very fair to Brad and the Isla crew, they were very open in where the product was, where the product was going, and the features that were going to be coming downstream. So if you bought into the S2400 platform, you bought into a development platform that was still ongoing. And therefore, he was open and saying, you are beta testing for my platform. And obviously report bugs back to Isla and they would fix them in the next release. I want to be fair on that, but you are still beta testing the product as it came to market. Now, Roland have also released a number of products recently, in the past few years, where immediately after release there was a patch provided, or an emergency patch, or an emergency upgrade, or an upgrade, or a patch. However you want to sell the delivery, it was still a patch was provided immediately after release to fix flaws in the base release software that was deployed to the instrument when you purchased it from the store. The product was launched with known issues, and those issues were fixed by rushing these patches, upgrades, whatever you want to call them, to market. It is not an uncommon theme, and yes, I've called out Behringer, yes, I've called out Isla, yes, I've called out Akai, yes, I've called out Roland. I don't want to call one manufacturer out for being dishonest per se, but all of them are doing the same thing. In the past, going back probably 10-15 years, when synths were released, they worked. Why did they work? Because they had been thoroughly tested before the company released them. And the reason why they were so well tested? Well, it was a commercial reason more than anything else. Very simply, a hardware-driven synth having to fix aftermarket problems is a costly stroke expensive process for the manufacturer. You would have to recall the synth or send them to service techs. Someone would have to open it up and then remove or add components to the synth to fix whatever the problem was. And of course, while all this was happening, your musician community was griping about the fact that this synth or electronic instrument was flawed, which would then stunt sales, and the synth's reputation would be damaged, which would further stunt sales, and it became a bit of a vicious cycle. So in the past, you tended to find that synths worked, and the manufacturers were very open about what functionality you got when you bought that synth from the retailer. But with a software-driven synth, and to make an update, it's actually relatively easy. You post a file to a website, the user can download it, he plugs the synthesizer into his computer, or his or her computer should I say, or you download it onto an SD stick or a USB stick and plug that into the back of the relative instrument, and assuming that the manufacturer has coded it right, and we have seen instances recently where the manufacturer has done a embedded update to one of these machines and the machine has been bricked. I can think of at least 2 instances where all of a sudden the patch was pulled because people were reporting their instrument was not working. But assuming they have coded it right, then the buggy features are corrected and the missing features that weren't there are added. So do the synth manufacturers, electronic instrument manufacturers, need to get the instrument right for launch day? Simple answer is no, they don't. As long as they can provide a stream of updates to fix issues as they are reported and gather momentum in the user groups, all is good. And it becomes important for the synth to hit the launch date. Stock needs to be delivered to the wholesalers and retail outlets, and social media and marketing needs to be timed so that at a specific point it peaks and interest in your instrument is out in the market space to drive the sales. A lot of money is now spent in this pre-sales and marketing area, much more than would have been spent in the past in relative terms. There is no such term, or there was no such term, as an influencer. But now there is. Get it wrong and the friendly influencer, unless they're being paid to promote your product, becomes a very unfriendly weapon. So the answer to the question of are we beta testers is going to be a resounding yes, because we are reporting the bugs, we are testing the features, and they are being fixed by the manufacturer, or you hope. Because get used to it, this is going to be the trend going forward, I suspect, which is unfortunate because the musician or the musicians who jump in first are going to be the ones that find all the issues. There is an argument that says, should you buy the instrument when it comes out, or should you wait for the first 2 or 3 patches stroke updates to arrive? I'm going to sit on the fence on that one. But the real question is, if one of these instruments comes to market, do we believe that the manufacturer has the nous and the gumption and the longevity, nay commitment, to fix the issues and deliver the features that they have promised in the base release of that instrument when you bought it? And on that note, I'm going to say, live long and prosper. Bye bye.